Hello and welcome to Unstructured and Unsupervised. My name is Katrina Reese.
And I'm Nicole Narayan
It's Nicole.
or Monaco, either one. Oh my God, wow. I want to God, you ever have so many thoughts that happen at one time that
Yes,
you're
actually, I'm having a
mad?
thought right now that I can't. I just realized something. Hold on.
Okay,
Damn it!
bye.
Every freaking time, I always forget something. Okay, I'm back. I'm still here. I never left.
It's, it's like my brain but I'm like, hi, I'm Nicole Monaco or Nicole Narayan. And I'm like, ugh, shut up, Nicole. Like, I hate the tone of the way I just said it. It's like, hi, I'm Nicole.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
I'm,
No, you have
hi,
to.
I'm
You have to be able to introduce yourself in a. So when I do like voiceover, right, for auditions and stuff,
yeah.
they call it slating. And so you say your name and the character sometimes. This isn't all the time, by the way. But it matters how you say your name.
It does
It
matter how
does.
you say your name. And I'm like thinking about it the other day because I'm like, I do want to start doing stand up again and might get back into it, which I was going to, but then
Yeah.
I got sick, which I'm not going to get into that whole thing. I don't even want to
Blah,
go there. But
sickness, blah. Let's
yeah,
not think
but
about it.
I wanted to go to open mic, and my thing is like my self is like, hi, I'm Nicole. Hello, I'm Nicole. Hi, I'm Nicole, I guess. I don't know. That's my name. And I want to do this whole thing and just like introduce myself like over and over and over again
Mm-hmm.
with all the different ways I could say my name.
You
And
should
then be
definitely do that.
like, I have borderline personality disorder. I don't know. And then I have like a whole thing about going into it, but it's true. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hi, I'm Nicole. Like I just feel so confused by the idea of having to introduce myself because it's like I don't know how I'm feeling almost all the time, which is what actually I do know. I'm feeling everything all of the time. I'm like the internet, only in
I'm the
it's
internet,
like I'm the
except I don't like
internet.
computers.
I hate computers. I don't like this, but leave
I'm
me
the
alone.
non-computer internet. Um,
Yeah.
Also, just so you know, everyone, what we're gonna try doing today is it's like unstructured and unsupervised, and it's like, oh, let's try some structure. But because I
Well,
need
that's
to
what
eat
it's
something, I
for.
haven't eaten very well today because I was running around. I ran around a lot today. So
Katrina's
I'm gonna eat.
to,
I'm gonna listen to Nicole,
yeah.
and then we'll switch and see how that goes. Because we already
No,
did the episodes of extended, extended
yeah,
one-sided conversation.
we did that.
So
We're gonna do it back and forth with
15
better
minutes.
listening. We're putting it into play now. So like you're eating and I'm gonna talk and you're gonna
Yes.
listen and then I'm gonna listen while you talk. And then we'll converse about it after. Okay,
All right.
cool.
I start timer and now.
Now, okay, so, hi, my name is Nicole. I am really, I've been struggling a bit with my mental health this past week. Katrina knows that. If you're listening, I call her often because she is a sensitive, beautiful, lovely, very understanding soul who makes it a lot easier to exist in this world because she is easy to talk to. Um, and I have been crying a lot because I've been in my head and in my house, and I'm just kind of like trying to figure out what's going on. I recently was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which I mean, I'm not shocked by, I'm not surprised by it. I'm not like, oh my God, what do you mean I have this thing? It's just giving it a name now is supposed to be helpful, but like everything that I've been reading about it is awful.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So is there going to be hope or not? Because this is torture. And I joke about it. I joke. I make laughter out of it because there's not much else you can do but joke about the pain that happens. And it feels like I'm a raw nerve, like when you have a toothache and you have like a raw nerve and like ice or something touches and it's sensitive and you're like, oh, like that's how my whole body feels all the time to everything. And it's like to lights, to sounds, to emotions, to people, to everything. And I've learned how to, I don't even know if you'd say it's a coping mechanism per se, because it still hurts. You know what I mean? Like there's still, it's not necessarily like coping, it's more like masking it and just getting through it so that by the time I get home, then I'm in it at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really sure how to like explain that to the people closest to me without frightening them all. And I don't know how to um, talk about it in a way that is not making other people feel like it's their fault. Um, Trying to talk about it at all without making myself hate myself, because it's like I'm embarrassed that I even feel like this. I feel shame that I even feel the way I do. It's like there's people out there that don't have hot, water or like water to drink or take a shower with in the world. And I'm complaining about like my boyfriend's tone sounded a little off than normal. And I'm like, this is what I'm upset about. Like, stop. And like, then I shame myself into that. And it's like this repetitive mental beatdown of like not feeling like I have like I'm not allowed to be upset, and if I am upset, like I'm beating myself up for it, and there's people that have it worse, and then I just go into this whole spiral about how like I'm a shitty human being, and everybody would probably just be better off without me. And I'm like, it's not how I want to be perceived. It's like, last year I was, I'm introducing myself and going, oh, I'm Nicole. Hi, I'm Nicole Narayan. Like last year you asked me, like, I'm Nicole Narayan. I'm really happy. And like, I've started my own little business and I'm doing Reiki and I'm doing all these wonderful things. And I was really happy and like felt good about myself and really loved who I was becoming and loved what I was about and loved it all and felt really healthy. And like, I don't feel like that right now. And then I look at my website and I look at my page and I look at things that are this remnants of this person that I was becoming. And now I'm unbecoming and now becoming something else all over again. It's just an exhausting hamster wheel that I'm on that just feels like it's never going to end. And there's days where there's joy, but when I'm feeling that joy, it's like I forget that sadness ever even existed. And I'm so happy that like I feel like, why do I ever want to come down from how happy I feel from this? I should feel like this all the time. This is such a good feeling. And then something happens and it knocks you down from it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like the most devastating feeling in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to like explain this and somehow still be lovable and be supported and not feel like you're driving everybody you love away from you and nobody knows how to please you because everything seems to if people like walk on eggshells around me, and I
Mm-hmm.
know that. And I don't like that I make people feel that way. But I also feel like I am constantly walking on eggshells in my own self. And it's like this thing, and I don't know how to make it stop. And I'm trying to get the help that I need. I'm trying to go to therapy, and the psychiatrist is not doing Zoom calls, which I was supposed to have an appointment today at 10 o'clock this morning, but it got postponed until next week. So with that being said, once that gets the ball rolling on something, maybe I'll have a better idea of how to like cope better with these things rather than going from one extreme to the other so quickly. But it's like I don't even have time to think about it. Like it's it's like become so happy or devastating. It's like if you're happy, I'm ecstatic. If you're resentful, I'm furious. If you're like you know, I don't know. It's like it's always an extreme, and it's a lot for people who love me to deal with. It's a lot for me to deal with on my own. So I can
Mm.
only imagine what it's like for the people who love me to watch me have to go through it. And that brings me pain and shame and sadness. And it's a repetitive fucking cycle again of that whole thing I just explained. So I don't know, really, like I just don't know how to make it better yet. I laugh, sometimes about it. I joke. I think comedy might be good for me again to get back out there and start being able to joke about it
Yeah.
and have that space again for myself. Um, I just feel really as all over the place that I am. I feel like a really boring person. I feel like I'm uninteresting. I feel like there's nobody wants to talk to me because whatever I have to say is too deep or it's too intense or it's just it's too much
Two.
and it makes me really sad.
Mm.
So I don't really feel like talking anymore right now. So if you want to chime
Okay.
in at any point.
That's fine. And I just realized too that it's possible that everyone just heard me eating anyways, but you didn't. Hold
I didn't hear you.
on a second. Let me check. Oh yeah, I'm so sorry, everybody.
Yikes.
So you're talking about your life, and I'm just like listening and hold on.
Kind of awesome. That's
Um.
okay.
Okay. Thank you for watching. Unstructured and unsupervised. Ugh. So, also, just so you know, you spoke for like 7 minutes.
That's it. Okay.
7, 8 minutes.
Sorry,
It's
I
all
didn't
good.
feel like on stage
You said
on
a lot.
on, on the
I
camera.
mean,
Yeah.
that's a lot to handle, in 1 week. And I definitely understand a lot of the things that you were saying. Um, I think that it sucks like that mental health and mental wellness and psychiatric struggles are like I don't know, poo-pooed? Is that the word? Like it's just I mean, I feel like it's less now of like, oh, you're going to therapy? What? Now it's kind of like more so, oh yeah, you have never gone to therapy? Like more of that, which is a good thing and a bad thing. I don't think anyone should be shamed into doing or not doing anything. Um, I tweeted yesterday or the day before. The original sin is shame. It is in the Bible. Original sin is shame. It's to eat the apple of knowledge. And you realize what's happening here. I gotta cover this up. Disobeying. Um, I'm thinking that you know the answers. Um, I mean, I definitely understand the frustration too of having an appointment. Like, if you set an appointment, right, and then somebody is like, "Oh, it has to wait another week." It's such a shitty feeling. It's like, why can't it happen this week? Show me who died. It's like, I don't want to be like that, but it's like, okay, what's more important than like me? Because I'm trying to put myself first, and you're saying that you want to help me put myself first, but you're saying that I am not. Like, I definitely had that experience today, going to the doctor and needing to basically defend myself of like, why am I here for an appointment? Because I was scheduled for an appointment. Um, I think that, once you try medication, and that can definitely help. I don't have a degree in medicine, um, or anything like that, but I mean, just speaking from my own experience of like being a very emotional person, experiencing really, really strong highs and lows of, or whatever kind of emotion, like just strong emotions, whether it's happy or sad or angry, anything like that. Um, the medicine for me helped like alleviate that a little bit, where it's like, oh, I'm not responding in this like way that I am used to responding in terms of intensity. And I don't think intensity is a bad thing. I think that isn't something that you should be ashamed of. Um, if people make you feel like too much, I think it's like, okay, why are you saying that? Like, why are they saying that? And
Well,
I,
it's been a thing for like my whole, that's like that term is just a trigger for me. Like I get
intense. The word intense.
intense and too much. Like it's been a
Too
on.
much. Do 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 do
I
do.
got to figure out a way to like have fun with it, I guess, and like not take it so personally. But
Well, I mean,
like
like, so the way you feel a negative feeling towards those terms because of your experience of having being uh, labeled that by people who, I'm guessing, you had some kind of justified reason for behaving like in an intense way, and they use that to like put you
it's
down.
just it's
I'm
just my
guessing.
sometimes it's a put down, sometimes it's a compliment. Sometimes they're like, "Oh my God, you're too much."
Because
Like
actually, it's
like
funny that you said that. The word intense is when I when one of my like major exes, one of our first conversations was, I was asked like, oh, so what three adjectives would you use to describe yourself? And one of them was intense. I was like, oh, I'm an intense, very loyal, hardworking person. That's what I said. I didn't think anything negative of it, but it became something that later was thrown in my face of like, well, you said that you were an intense person. It's like, why do you think that it's a negative thing? Like when I say intense, I'm not saying that to you. Like, why do you think that? Like, I understand that. Um, you're like, you say that as a triggering word because of your experience. Um, yeah, when I think of intense, I think of it as like someone that is able to withstand a lot of pain in the effort to accomplish anything, really. It's like if you're an intense person, like you throw yourself at your work and you seemingly are tireless, and sometimes that makes people feel uncomfortable because they don't know what they want. Um, and they also don't know how to manage their own feelings because they've buried things down. That's at least kind of how I think about it. I went to a group therapy appointment for the first time this week. Um, that is related to trauma, and part of it, the therapist stated like, okay, while we go through this process, this group therapy process, try to think of ways to how you can regain your power. And that fucking bothered me so much because it's like, I don't need more power, okay? I don't need any fucking power. I have plenty of power. What I need is to be able to feel good, uh, like when I'm talking about my experiences with people who don't understand, but I'm able to like get across the idea. Like that's how I felt. I was like, well, I don't need to find it. It's like okay, am I the problem? Do I not have power? No, I don't. No, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here. Is because I found my power and I fucking came. But, you know, people outside of that feeling are not going to understand what I mean when it's just like it's like you don't want to feel like a burden. You don't want to feel like a victim. You don't want to feel like something less than. And so become somebody that is intense and can have like deep conversations that it comes easily too from the practice. It's like, okay, you want to be real? Let's talk real. Let's really talk about it. And I would think that there are plenty of people who, because they haven't handled their own stuff and they don't have the empathy of, okay, this person is saying something and it's making me feel a certain way, but I'm not going to take it out on this person, is another aspect of it. Of like, the practice of taking in information as it is given to you without shutting down your, like keeping an open mind, but like just shutting down all the listening and all the like, okay, they're saying something and it's upsetting to me because XYZ reasons. But the fact of the matter is this person is upset. So what can I do to not make that situation worse? To not make them feel isolated. And also, I need to kind of reflect for myself like, all right, well, that really pissed me off, or like, that made me really anxious. Okay, why? Because it's not the person. I mean, it could be the person. But most of the time, when you're talking about things, it's not with somebody that is directly involved, you know? Like if you think about it, right? So if you have a fight with somebody, how many people do you talk to them about it to work through it before you talk to that person? Like you're talking more to people that are outside of the situation. And then when it's something that's an internal struggle, literally everyone is outside of the situation and they're like, "What? What are you talking about?" It's like you're not even speaking the same language as me. So,
Mhm.
but that idea of driving people away is also something that I've had trouble with in my life because at one point I realized, oh, whenever I call anyone, they automatically think that I'm upset because I was always upset. But it's
Wait,
like, okay, am I using people just to make myself feel better also? It's like, I don't think that I am, but I don't want it to come across like that either. It's this weird balance because also when someone's not well, physically, emotionally, mentally, it's not going to be your typical, equal relationship because somebody is trying to take care of themselves. And a lot of people, I mean, people can respond in all sorts of different ways to that. either in way of understanding and a way of like not understanding at all, and then lashing out, or ghost, or like, fine, I just won't talk to that person, whatever. The person's a drag. Oh, this person's toxic in my life. It's like, are they toxic? Or are they trying to express something, thinking that you're a trustworthy person and you're shutting it down because you can't handle it? Because that word gets thrown around easy. A toxic person is somebody that prevents you from growing, making the soil toxic. Um, but I hear you, lady, about needing to find ways for like coping, and I mean, there are good and bad coping mechanisms. That's for sure.
Well, I I didn't talk that much. I interrupted like once. But
Oh yeah, it's okay.
um the coping mechanisms is like I had learned coping mechanisms that worked for me, you know?
Yeah, same.
Yeah. And then I would then apply them, and now it's like it's almost become like they've become a secret of mine rather than like a
Your coping
outward thing that,
mechanisms.
yeah, because like my coping mechanisms were really about the word, like the vocabulary that I use. Like I have like
Oh,
very specific about the vocabulary that I was using when I
great.
was feeling my best. I really was like, I'm going to only choose to speak like kind words,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. And then certain things started to happen, and it was like it felt like I was like shocked. You know what I mean? Like
Like when you changed your vocabulary about yourself, something
not
else
even
changed.
not even like me changing my vocabulary about myself. It's like I don't, I wasn't, I had stopped drawing attention to things that if I didn't like something, like I would just simply like be like, I don't like that. I'm just
You'd
gonna
like
ignore it.
Marie Kondo that out the door.
What is that?
Oh, Marie Kondo, she's on Netflix. She may or may not have not developed this technique of basically you like take something and it's like, does it bring you joy? And if not,
Yeah.
then
But
it's time to get rid of it.
so basically that's where I was at. And it was like if I don't have to give if I'm gonna give negative attention towards it, it's going to drain me of stuff. So why am I going to point out that I don't like this thing unless I'm really upset about something? Like I don't like just to complain was like something that I had cut out. Like I would stop complaining
Yeah.
about things. Like I'm just going to stop complaining and just do what I have to do. And then, I got into a relationship and things happened, and there was a lot of like complaints that I would hear. You know what I mean? Like I work in an environment where everybody's like praising one another, constantly giving each other the emotional validation, the hugs, the love. Like I work in a
Yeah.
very positive environment.
Great.
And like when we're driving
That's
down the
great.
street and I hear something like, look at this fucking ugly truck. It's so ugly that like I'm in the middle of enjoying the day and
Mm-hmm.
like looking at the sunshine and the pretty flowers and things, and then it's like, look at this fucking ugly truck. It like brings me into this place of like, what?
Yeah.
Like that's the start of it, you know what I mean? And it's like I'm not blaming anybody for like, but it's hard for me to separate that that's like I don't feel that way, but now listening to it is like, ugh, like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like,
It's like the energy of the moment is like, you try not to let other people's point of view influence yours when it's healthy and that, you know, positive thinking makes a difference. And
Right.
you can't force anybody to think about things in a different way, especially if they're not used to it. But I mean, I'm guessing that this you had brought this up as like an
Yeah,
issue.
I brought it up and I was like, even the word like, oh, we got to drain some of your energy. Like I can't hear that without it being
Drain.
like right. Like when it's like and it might not even been towards me at that point. It just the word was like I have to drain some energy. And I'm like, what? Like that to me is like I
Yeah.
hate it. Like I hate that
You're
term.
word
Like why did
sensitive.
you use
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
I'm
so am I.
extreme.
I like it matters. I mean, Exhibit A, the thing about power that I was just talking about. Like, it
Yeah,
matters
like
how you say things, when you say things. Words are
so I'm
so delicate.
so word sensitive, exactly. So it's like, okay, so you say this thing and then now I'm like, what? And it's like, well, no, it's like I have like I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight unless I like, drain some of this energy.
Uh huh.
And it's like, okay, I understand that. I guess I just have a hard time like
With
say burn off some of
yeah, I
this
was gonna say
energy.
like,
Like
does it matter to you like if it was different, like burn off or something? But
yeah, I
it's
gotta
that
let burn.
idea of like the energy is for some reason the idea of something having energy is and then kind of being like, well, that's not good. You don't like that. I'm
Right,
guessing.
like having too much energy, like that's how I'm like, oh, like so having energy is bad then? Like having to remove energy? Like I'm like, let's be energized, like let's go, like
Yeah,
yes, like that's how I've always been.
you're
And like
extremely
lately I'm
energetic person.
extremely energetic person. I have not been an energetic person in months. I have
And when you're
not been,
not energetic, you don't feel good.
I don't feel like
Like that's
myself at
the
all.
association is like it's not relaxing.
It's not relaxing to be like just chilling out. Like I want to be it's relaxing for me to be moving and doing and like getting things like going and talking and connecting and like doing stuff and it's
Mm-hmm.
like being playful, like and I feel like there's not like a whole lot of that happening right now and I'm like okay and even the simple thing of like do you want to play an app game and hearing a hard nope is like you know
Yeah,
i i
bit
i
harsh.
take it to an extreme level of pain and discomfort and it's like I'm not blaming this person. This is how he functions as a human being and like it works for him. Like that has nothing to do with me. That has
Right.
absolutely nothing. Like, I'm not blaming. I'm not sitting here going, oh, this is anybody's fault or anything. It's just like learning what like works and what doesn't. And like sometimes it's like I feel like I'm being more now he's got a lot of energy and I don't have any energy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's it's flip-flopped. Like
Do
when we
you are you
met,
like jealous of that?
I wouldn't say that I'm jealous. I would say that I'm feeling like my footing is off. I'm not jealous of the fact that he has more energy. I feel like it's like I'm upset maybe, or maybe a little resentful in the fact of like
Resentful.
when I was, yeah, like when I was talking about this stuff and being energetic and having to do stuff, it was more like, well, I'll do it in my own time sort of thing. And now it's like
It's like
I
double standard.
hold on a minute.
Uh huh.
No, hold on.
It's all good. Um. Yeah. You're watching
All right.
Unstructured and Unsupervised.
It was
I
on.
I
Is that a
have
super
a vanilla milkshake
bowl?
over here that I just want to retrieve really quickly.
Do it.
And
My cat just threw up again. I'm like,
oh
okay.
no, the kitty threw up.
It did.
Away. So
Oh.
um, we were talking about this a bit the other day. Of like, I read this book. It's called. I'm not distracted right now. I am literally looking for the book.
No worries.
It's called Illusions. Um,
Illusions.
and well, anyways, there's a quote in there that is basically about how, like, placing your happiness outside, like having your happiness be be determined by people that aren't you. Well, it just never results in happiness.
No, it
And
doesn't. And it's not even happiness that I'm looking to achieve, to be honest with you. Everybody's always like, I just want to be happy. Like, I just want to be happy. I'm like, I don't necessarily want to be like happy. I want to just like be at peace with myself and things again. Like being at peace. And it's like that's something that like is so unfamiliar to me at this point right now. I
so, what
used to
is what
have
does peace mean to you then?
like for me it's being able to be myself and
Yeah,
like be able to
without judgment.
without judgment. Yeah, like
Mm.
be myself without judgment. And like I feel like I'm not at peace within myself because there's been plenty of times where I'm like I'm okay with how I am. Like other people are not okay with how I am. You know what I mean? Like
That's their problem.
that,
That's their
but then
problem.
it ends up right.
But you like to please people.
I do.
You don't
So then
want you don't like to be, it seems, somebody that anyone could ever. What is that sound? Do you hear that?
what does it sound like?
It's gone. I think there was like probably a truck or something that there was this very very high pitched like squeal. So I'm
Oh, that's
thinking maybe
weird.
maybe there was something at a traffic light and it bounced kind of weirdly outside the window, and I don't know. I hear things weirdly sometimes. I was talking about, what was I talking about? Sorry.
Uh, you hold on.
I was
Damn, it
gonna
was good too.
yeah, I was just gonna say something. Talking about.
Hold on. We were talking about illusions, then we were going
We were talking about
into
happiness and then things
being
outside of.
what
Oh
being
yes. So it's like you're somebody that it seems like you like to. Oh, this was it. You. It seems like you don't like to be the source of any reason why somebody else would be unhappy. So if you're going about your day being like happy and joyful and yeah, and somebody else is like, "Why are you so happy?" You're like, "Oh, should I not be happy?" Like, I guess I okay, I won't be happy. Like, it's at least it seems like that happens.
it does. And I will literally be like, oh, okay, and then I'll just like shift gears and turn into and I again reading about this I'm going
Okay.
to call it mental wellness disorder that I have because I'm trying to get well in it, and I don't want to call it an illness because then I'm staying in it. So the wellness I'm trying to achieve from learning about it is like you become a chameleon. Like you become what you like what is needed in the moment. Like
Yeah.
you don't. It's not a. And then when you're by yourself, it's like you have your favorite person and when they're not validating you or giving you the the validation that you want to that you're like craving for, it's like you continue to
You're not
feel
being
worthless.
seen. Yeah. And then it's like, what are we doing?
Right. And that's
I'm not
not
my best self. That
right.
kind of
I
way.
don't feel like my best self. I feel like I end up being like,
Still with it.
um, what?
My hair is just.
Uh,
You
yeah,
don't
just
feel like
end
your
up
best
feeling,
self. So here's a
no,
question then. Because I'm kind of like playing a little bit devil's advocate because I'm just like, it's like things to
no,
think about.
please do.
So if you're someone who's a people pleaser and, so say that exact same example just happened. I'm happy. Why are you happy? Um, and then you come back with like the reasons why you're happy, and the person is just continues to be like, are you able to let
Depends on
go of the fact that you can't control how they feel, or is it frustrating you that no matter how you act, this person is continuing to behave in a way that's negative and then later detrimental to you because you're like absorbing this different kind of energy that you doesn't make you feel good, but you're like, I mean, I want to be on the same level as somebody else.
right. Well, that's the thing is that my levels are all over the place because I can't stay consistent to whichever one mine is. And
Yeah.
my energy ends up feeling like it's a empty, my energy as Nicole Monaco is a empty frequency. It's just a empty frequency that taps into whatever is around me. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever's around me is what I become. It doesn't feel like I'm necessarily my own source
Yeah.
of
But that is a coping mechanism in itself that you developed. I mean, if you're around people, if you're growing up in an environment where your emotional needs aren't being met, your individuality is not being respected or even acknowledged a lot of times, and then you just feel like, you know what? I'm just gonna be so in tune with everyone else that I'm not gonna hear any more complaints about myself from other people because they can't deal with me, because of their own reasons, or because if you're acting if you're acting out as a child, acting out and not like having any kind of like interest in why is she so upset, you know?
Yeah, there's
I
never been an
didn't
interest. Why are you so upset? It's always
yeah,
like,
I know what that feels like, and it fucking
yeah.
blows. It sucks because I know that about myself. I see that a lot in other people when they did something that I did like that, of, oh, you're so not used to being heard. The fact that I'm listening to you and you're like, I don't even know how to deal with this.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's
I'm the
true when
weirdo.
right, when you actually have somebody who is listening to you and is giving you the time of day, and it's like almost like,
Yeah, it's
what's
like,
wrong
what's
with you?
wrong with you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't that,
like what?
isn't that suck? Because
Yeah,
then,
it's like,
because then it's like, okay, it's like, oh, okay, I want to trust this person. But also, can I trust this person? They're not acting the way that people have treated me in the past.
right,
I'm so used to being treated so poorly. Why aren't you treating me poorly?
right.
Why aren't you telling me that I'm like complete garbage and shit and whatever? Like,
Yeah.
because I'm complete garbage and shit. No, I'm not. I'm not. What? And then it's like, okay.
My boss is infant like she's like totally famous for knowing like praising you all the time. Like when I first started working there, she would be like, "Oh my God, you're amazing. Oh my God, you're doing such a great job." And I'd be like,
What?
"Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks." Like, this is my job. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, okay. And then, like, I'm making gift bags, and she's like, "Oh my God, these are the best gift bags." And I'm actually, she didn't say that the first time around. The first time around, I didn't do them well. They were kind of chintzy looking. And she's like, "They're a little cheesy looking, but let's work on it." So we
Okay.
worked on it, and she's like, "Oh, these are great." And I was like, "Okay." Like, she just constantly gives praise and admiration and like
Yeah.
is very grateful and is always very gracious about everything. Like, thank you so much. At the end of the day, she always thank you for everything you do. I really appreciate you. And it took me a good while to understand that, like, oh, there's people out there
It's
that
like
talk like this.
it's like my boss is crazy. She like cares about me. Like what the fuck?
And then it's like you go out into the rest of the world because now you get addicted to the fact that there's somebody validating you and they're loving you and they're treating you well and they you feel good in these four walls, and then you leave and then you go back to another part of the world that is not like that
Yeah, and it's
again,
like
and you're
someone taking a fucking axe to welcome
like, yeah.
back.
Right. And you're like, oh, and then like I try to carry that on and be like, oh wow, you're doing such a great job, or like you're amazing, or like I try to talk to people the way that like I want to be talked to. And like I do want a lot of praise. Like I do want to be told that I'm amazing every day. I do want to be told that like
Yeah.
you're doing
You
your great
like
job. I'm proud of
words
you.
of
But
affirmation are important to you as a love language.
oh, all of the love language are important to me.
Yeah.
All of them. There's not just one that's more important than the other. They are I need all of them. And it's like I don't get all of them that I still it's like what I don't know, like that's the point is to love all the way around.
Yeah.
And I feel like I do, you know what I mean? Like I try to my best, and then sometimes that's a lot for other people to handle. When you have that much intensity in your life, you have that much intensity in the love as well. So it's like it
Hmm.
might be overbearing or overwhelming when, you know, it's
It's like
not
your light is too bright for me to stand. Like you feel
right.
like that people say that in a different way, but
I don't know if that, yeah, it's not really necessarily said like that. It's just like, all right, like, okay, like, like, how hard is it to say it back? You know what I mean? Like, you're amazing too. Like, you're like, like,
yeah.
I find myself having to compliment myself, and then like people agree with what
I'm
I
so
just
bad
said.
at I'm so bad at compliments. Like I speak very poorly to myself. I'm trying to get better at it. Still, it takes a long time. But like for me, if there's a compliment, even if it's something really small, it's like that was an effort to do that. Not because I like think it's just not my instinct to compliment someone because I didn't
Right.
grow up in like a way of receiving compliments. Um,
Is it something that you would want, or you're
I
okay with that?
it's that is a very good question. The reason why is, and this was something I spoke to my therapist about today. um, so I I like I really it really means not a lot to me when somebody says something in like a letter or like just a sincere moment of how they feel about me, um, and not something that is like a shallow reason. And I say shallow reason because that's how I kind of see it, even though it's not necessarily shallow reason of like, oh, you look nice today or something like that.
Right.
Of
Well, I gave you a very nice compliment when we started. I said you're a fantastic listener, and that you.
yes, thank you. It's so hard for me to take compliments. It really is. Like I'm like, because I'm like, oh, that's a nice thing to say about. That's a nice thing to say. I don't like. It's hard for me to validate it for myself. Not that I don't believe you, because it's like, no, I believe you. But I guess what my struggle is agreeing.
It's like I believe you that you
I
believe
believe
that
that
that's
you believe that I am a good listener, but
right.
do
I don't
I?
believe. Right.
You know, like that's how. And it's like, no, I am. I'm listening. I'm eating. I'm listening.
But
I'm forgetting to turn off my mic.
sometimes it's necessary to have somebody remind you of those things, because if you're not doing it yourself all the time, it's like also a humbling thing as well, because it's like, well, now am I just boasting my own ego by being like, I am a good listener, I am a good person, I am all these amazing things. And it's like when somebody else tells you it, it's like, oh, that's nice, like they see it, or
Yeah.
they
Well, I guess
can.
it's not even just like it like acknowledgement is important to me for sure, but I guess just like the value it's just like I guess I whenever I get a compliment, I kind of weigh it as in terms of why is this person saying this to me? I believe you're complimenting me because you're genuinely grateful for me talking to you about things that some people just can't do it. And but whereas somebody else could be like could compliment me on something and I'll be like, why are you saying that? Like what are you trying to get? What do you want?
Right.
Like and it's just because of what I've experienced in my life, and I especially have a lot of trouble when it comes to physical compliments about weight, about how I look, about my body. I don't like it. I am somebody that has experienced trauma. I don't like people looking at me. I don't like when people touch me. I don't like thinking about people touching me. Um, which is funny also because like, oh, I'm a hugger. I'll hug you. If you give each, if you're a cashier, it's like, oh, like put it on the counter, and I'll, I am very, very sensitive with touch. Um, so, and that it becomes another aspect that I kind of have to deal with when I am trying to work through my relationships with anyone, friends, family, romantic or coworker, anybody, stranger. Of like, what is this person saying to me? How are they saying it? How is it making me feel? Why am I feeling like that? Like that's what I'm always kind of like thinking about is why am I doing this? Why am I acting like this? Why is this person doing this? The motivation is
I
really
get that. I understand that. I feel like sometimes when I give compliments too, it's like I like being praised, obviously. Like I like hearing words of affirmation. I like when people tell me that they enjoy my presence. I like to hear that you enjoy my company, like you had a fun time with me, like when I'm around, you feel good. Like those are feelings, those are words that
yeah.
make me feel like validated.
So
And
when you're dating, if someone's saying compliments and things like that, that is something that's good for you.
it is now. I would tell you, I would say a few years ago,
Mm-hmm.
where I was a few years ago, if somebody would be like, wow, I had a really good time with you, I'd be like, you're a liar. You'd be like, you
See,
know,
when somebody says something like, "Hey, I had a great time," you're really, I'm like, I don't
yeah, I'm like, why do you like
want to
me?
hear
Like, why
that.
you
Yeah.
don't, I'm
Yeah.
like, what, don't like me? Why did you like me? Why are you being like this?
Yeah.
But now I feel like after all the work that I have done already in my life, I'm at a place where I'm like, no, like I do want to enjoy hearing, that you had a good time with me, that
Mm-hmm.
like you enjoyed what we did together today. Like it felt good to be in your arms, like, things like that. And I don't always necessarily, and I
Mm-hmm.
say them because I'm like, well, if I can't receive hearing it, at least I can share how it did feel for me in the
Yeah.
situation. Let me share it. So then I share it. And I feel like sometimes he's in the same state where I was a few years ago, where like, okay, like, I'm glad you had a good time. Like, it's not like sometimes it'll be like, me too, but I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know.
I wonder if if it's like connected at all with like any kind of feeling of abandonment, that like insecurity of,
For me,
um, I mean, just in general, but for you,
it for me it definitely has to do with fear of abandonment. It's 100%.
do you do you think that is connected to your emotions too? Like why you respond in ways that are stronger than, in various situations because of a fear of abandonment? Because I know that I do.
1,000%. When I'm single, I have no fear of abandonment because I
Because you're single.
do.
There's nobody to abandon you.
There's nobody to abandon me. And in a relationship, I've realized that I'm actually a very kind of more codependent than I want to admit. But when I'm single, I'm extremely independent. I don't need anybody, I don't need anything. I can do it all on my own. I am happy. I'm this, that, and the other thing. And then once I become into a relationship, it's like this codependency comes out that I'm like,
It's a
oh,
hard thing to balance. I know what that feels like. I've had like extremes on both sides of the extreme
yeah,
codependence and then like it way too independent.
right. Ultra independence. They're both not great. So
Yeah.
it's like,
And being in a relationship.
right.
Of like, okay,
And
so
I'm,
what's a good balance of, okay, you do you, I'll do whatever I gotta do. I don't want you to worry. I don't want to worry about you, and let's just walk next to each other.
right. That's what we're trying to get at. But like today is a perfect example of like, my mental health this week was not great. And I have been, I'm sure, testing his patience and him being like, I can't listen to you, like, be at war with yourself every day. That's not good for me. You know what I mean? And I get it. Like, I
Uh huh.
understand. It's not healthy to have to listen to that every day.
Well, I mean, maybe it would be helpful in that situation to like kind of relate it to how you felt when it was the opposite of like, okay, here's somebody that's treating themselves in a certain way, and it makes me feel like this. So now that the shoe's on the other foot, okay, how can we both learn from this and like move forward from it in like a good way?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. So today, I mean, all I want to do is always talk to my boyfriend. Like, I just want to talk to him all the time. I love you. I want to see you. I want to hug you. I want to kiss you. I want to be near you, like, all the time. Like, I just want to be near you, you know?
Yeah,
But, like,
but
that's not
that's a lot.
a lot.
It's like managing expectations and needs.
Right. So now today, I'm like, all right, he needs a break from me. Like, I could feel it. I'm annoying him. I don't want to annoy him anymore. I'm annoying myself. And I barely messaged him at all today. Like, I
Mm.
literally was like, good morning. I love you. He was like, gonna blow leaves. He blew the leaves around. And like, we haven't talked all day. And then, like, we messaged each other a little while ago, like, doing the podcast, did some stuff around the house. He's eating. And that was it. Like,
And this is totally fine for him. Like that's like okay, good.
yeah,
Yeah.
like for him, that's healthy, like that's okay. He's okay with not talking. He doesn't need a play by play. He doesn't need to know what I'm doing all day long. I wouldn't say that he doesn't care, but
I
like
would say it sounds
he,
like he trusts that you won't abandon him and that you aren't afraid that he's going to. I'm guessing.
I'm afraid that he's going to
Have you
because
told
of
him
how
that?
annoying. No,
You haven't talked to him about like any kind of like, hey, I have some attachment troubles, abandonment issues. This is not you. This is my experience, and when these things happen, this is how I feel, and yeah, like something like, I mean, I don't want it to fall on
I
deaf ears.
I don't know. I don't know. I get like anxious even thinking about talking about it because it's
Are you so you're
like
afraid that you're going to talk about it and that it's going to be more of like, why are you talking to me about this?
I feel like I'm afraid to talk about it. It's going to be like, here's another thing that's wrong. Here's another problem that you have. Like, I don't know.
Well,
Like,
that
that's
should
where
never you should never ever be addressed like that.
I didn't
Ever.
say that I didn't say that he's going to, but that's where in my head there's this fear of like, okay, what are we talking about now? Like that kind of
Has
energy.
he ever like responded like that about something when you do have to have a conversation
Yeah.
about something that's not him, when it's outside of your relationship. By the way, we have reached an hour, but whatever.
What else?
We're
Do
unstructured and
whatever you want.
unsupervised. Whatever, it's fine.
We
We're unstructured.
are. I feel like I'm gonna have like a drink or something that's like cold because I had this hot beverage and
You
now I
mean
feel like I
like
need a cold beverage. I'm gonna have an
milkshake?
Ensure.
Ooh,
Next spring got a birthday. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I guess I can just like sometimes he's super understanding, and then there's days where I'm like, oh my God, he like hearing me talk about another fucking mental problem is like exhausting, and it's like,
it's like,
okay,
yeah. How can you identify days that or times that it's like, hey, are you okay for me to talk about something that's difficult for me to talk about that I'm afraid is going to upset you, and that's why I haven't talked to you about it because I don't want to upset you. I don't want to make things worse. It's like a
right.
big preamble.
It is a real big preamble, and it's like it's one of some of the things that like that I get stuck on is like he's like, it makes my head, like, he's like, you talk sometimes and it makes my head spin. And I'm like, okay.
Yes. Not
And then
because
he'll,
of, I'm just saying because whenever you talk, you or me or whoever, anyone who is ready to talk about some crazy shit in a real way, like pretty quickly, because sometimes people are like, I just can't do it because it means acknowledging things that they haven't dealt with and feelings that they, when you talk about struggles with somebody, people will automatically think about their own struggles. So unless you can set it aside, it's so hard to have the conversation.
right. And it's like, then it's like, it becomes this like, talking about television shows and talking about, things that are on the internet and showing each other videos. And like, it becomes just very like not anything that has to do with either one of us personally. It just is very
It's like
just
an
like,
escapist kind of
I could
thing.
do this, like anybody could show me this video. Like, okay, like, I don't know. But,
I mean,
it's like when we go away.
I love doing that kind of stuff, but I also have the tendency to just be like, you know what this makes me think of? This makes me think of the time then. And then go off on that track.
Right.
Like,
But
oh,
when I
yeah.
do that sometimes, I feel like I will try to tell a story with the enthusiasm or something, and like the response I'll get is, and I'm like, okay. Like, am I boring? Am I the most boring person in the world? Am I not interesting? Do you hate me?
No.
And like that's where I go in my head. But that's what it feels like, and that's where I that's how I feel it
Yeah.
and perceive it in the brain.
Right. Which
I
is
know the answer must be
valid.
no, but it's like,
How can you cope with it? Or how
yeah,
is it like you want to prevent that from happening or
I don't want to prevent it from happening. It's just like I want to like. Do you think I'm like Are you interested in my story that I said? Or but then I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's like I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I should just like.
I mean, you're not a boring person.
I
You
don't
just
think
need
I
to
am.
you just need to not
I don't think I'm a boring
whoever,
person.
yeah. Where did that come
But
from? Where did that like am I a boring person? Where does that even come from?
because of the
By the way,
fact that I feel
you're frozen right now.
um,
Still frozen. Try unclicking your video and
hold
then
on.
clicking it back on. There you go. Oh wait, now it's speeding up. Hold on. It's doing something. Oh,
Am I regular again?
almost. Say something else.
Am I regular
There you are.
yet?
Yes.
Okay. No, it's not about being boring. It's the fact that I know that I'm not boring. I'm actually a very extremely interesting person with a lot of fun
Mm-hmm.
inside, but I'm being a boring person because all of the ness that is Nicole is sometimes too much. And sometimes I say to I'll be like, I feel like I'm really boring. He's like, I like it that way. I'm like, oh. So then I tell stories in like a
So you tone
monotone.
yourself down.
Yeah.
No. No, no do that. No. I mean,
Like I end up, I feel
the
like I,
yeah, like thinking that you're a boring person is it's like interesting because it's like you know that you're not
right.
just because you're doing things that are less
Dangerous.
dangerous, less risky,
Right.
um, doesn't mean that it's boring as well.
Right. Okay. Well, that concludes my talking. I don't want to talk anymore. Like this mustache.
A mustache.
Oh,
Well,
I
we are out of time for our episode today,
thank you so much for
but you
listening.
are interesting, and I'm
There
very
we go.
grateful for you and
I'm
for
grateful for
this
you.
podcast. I like our podcast.
I like it too. Does anybody listen to
I don't know.
it?
I
I
think that
like
there are
it.
people who listen to it. You guys listen to it, right? Whoever's listening, you. I think that we have some people who watch and or listen, um, who don't comment, which is that's going to be most people, honestly.
Yeah.
But we don't have any haters yet, at least.
It's more of, I like the fact that we're doing something that holds us like accountable every week to show up for one
I
another.
love
And
doing
I
this.
like
I
that.
mean, I love talking about. I was doing this by myself last year. Like, I was just going on my computer and just talking to myself
Yeah.
about whatever I wanted to talk about. Um,
I think
but
that's brilliant.
difficult for me to keep doing that. It's more fun to talk to somebody. It is.
And have another person and another perspective and be like, oh, okay, like you go through this too. Or like, hey, let's look at it from
Yeah.
this.
And also just
So,
like, oh, don't feel so, don't feel the need to feel so ashamed about
yeah,
who you are as a person. Which is like it's easy to say that, but do I experience shame? Oh yeah.
like so
Literally
much.
constantly. I'm always subconscious about how I look, how I act, how I smell, how I
Yep.
behave. And it's the behavior that I'm like, okay, how am I behaving right now? Like when I'm out and about.
And it's regulating it. And like 35 years old is around the corner for me, which is just so weird in itself because I still feel like my mentally like I'm a kid. Like I don't feel
Yeah,
like a
me too.
35-year-old woman.
I forget what
Like,
age I am
yeah. Like I don't feel like I'm a
easily.
35-year-old woman. I feel like I am a child and I just want to be babied all the time. I just want to be a baby. I just want to be babied. I want to be like, you little baby, you little baby. I'm like, hi. And then I go, hi. Because you baby me.
I'm Nicole
But
Monaco.
yeah, I like it. I'm like, that's cool. I'm a baby.
Aw.
Um, so yeah, there's that. But thank you for listening. As always, you're just amazing, and I love you. And
I
we'll
think
do this.
before we leave,
Oh,
however, we should both say who we are. But while thinking about how happy you are to be who you are.
Okay.
Okay.
You go first.
It's like, is this gonna be sincere?
Go
You've
for it.
watched Unstructured and Unsupervised. I'm Katrina Reese.
You have watched Unstructured and Unsupervised, and I'm Nicole Monaco or Narayan, always both.
Yes. Bye, everybody.